Sister Marion O'Loughlin.
Good morning.
I have known you for such a short time. How long have you been here?
Probably 5 years.
5 years on the campus, yes. And coming from the beautiful state of
Nevada.
Nevada.
I went from California to Henderson, Nevada. I was there for 2 years.
So you got to know our sisters there, correct?
Yes, and the prioress there at the time said I could leave there and go to Seattle or here, and I came here because I love the cemetery and I wanted to be buried here.
Oh my. Had you seen pictures of the...
No, I walked around when we had some kind of a gathering.
Oh.
I walked around every grave. I was really impressed.
Oh my. What impressed you most? The configuration of the cemetery?
Yes, the round circles and stuff, and how old the graves were.
Oh my, yes. So you picked out a place while you were here?
Huh? Not really.
Not really.
I might die someplace else, you never know. But they'll bring me back, I'm sure.
Well, going back to California, was it, you were born in the northern or southern part of California?
The north, San Francisco's north.
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles is south.
Mm-hmm. And a family of 12 siblings?
No. 6 kids. I'm the only one left.
Half a dozen. And nieces and nephews, mostly in California, I presume?
Yes, and some are in Seattle area.
Mm-hmm.
I have a nephew that's a deacon in Olympia, Washington.
And what about your mother and father? What was your father's profession?
Profession?
Work.
He was a mechanical engineer.
As in smart?
Pardon?
As in very smart?
Yes.
Yes.
After World War I, he went to Stanford.
To teach?
To study.
Oh, to study.
To get an education.
Oh. And what did he focus his mechanical engineering background on?
I have no idea.
Were diesel engines important in those days?
The war was there and they were building ships and they needed the diesel engines. And he was the supervisor that built them.
Was he the first in his family then to receive a college education, a university education?
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
No, I had an uncle in Boston that did too.
Mm-hmm.
He had his master's.
Mm-hmm.
He taught for 30 years.
And what was your father's name?
James.
And your mother's?
Marion.
Marion. So.
My religious name was Marion James after Mom and Dad.
Oh.
I dropped the James so we could go back to our original name. Daddy didn't like it.
No. He was left out of the picture. And was Marion your baptismal name too?
No, Elizabeth.
Oh. And did they call you Betty or Liz?
They called me Betty.
Betty. Do your nieces and nephews call you Aunt Marion or Aunt Betty?
I think they just call me sister.
That helps. makes it easy for them. So I'm going to presume you had Adrian Dominican Sisters in grade school and high school.
No, that's a wrong presumption. I went to public schools. And high school was Catholic. I had Notre Dame Sisters there.
Mm-hmm. Well, how come the Notre Dame Sisters didn't snatch you up?
I liked them very much.
Mm-hmm. Good teachers, I imagine.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did Adrian Dominicans come into your life? Or I should say, Dominicans. Let's start there.
The Everett Dominicans had a retreat house, and a neighbor said she'd like to make a retreat, but she didn't want to go alone. So I said, I'll go with you, I like it. So I met the Everett Dominicans, and when I got there, they called out my name, and they said, your friend Jean, her son has the mumps, so she won't be coming. So I was at the retreat alone.
You said Everett Dominicans. Everett
became Edmonds.
Edmonds, yes. But it was Everett when you first met them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And was it music together right then? I mean, did you talk to one of the sisters right then?
At the retreat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
About religious life, I mean.
No.
Mm-hmm.
She was, the sister I was talking to was a nurse, one of the anesthesiologists. And then after that, I went back and visited them. That was in January, and entered in September.
You visited them there in California?
They lived 7 miles from my house.
Oh.
That's where the retreat house was.
Did you have sponsors like the Adrian Dominicans?
Did I have what?
A sponsor to help you get ready to enter?
No.
No? Was there a particular sister that inspired you, Edmund's sister that inspired you?
All sisters there did.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Sister Bernadine was from Ireland. Sister Beatrice. I forget some of the others that were there, but they were all really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And the pastor gave them permission to have me visit periodically. I couldn't believe that a priest would have that kind of power, who visits or not.
Well, I've never heard of something like that. I've never heard of something like that. But that was the mode of operation, apparently.
Yeah.
It was before Vatican II, I bet.
Oh yeah, long before.
Long before. What was the year of your birth, Marion?
31, just like you.
Oh, I think I'm a year younger.
I'm 85, if that's what you're asking.
Yes. What does that feel like to be 85?
Nothing.
No
Doesn't
change.
feel like 20 or 40 or 30 or anything.
You don't feel old then?
No.
That's wonderful. I have that same feeling. It's strange to say 85 or 84.
Huh.
Indeed. The major part of your professional life was spent in the hospital or in the schools?
Teaching.
Teaching. Did you have a favorite grade?
6th.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't because of the kids that I liked it best. I just liked the subject matter.
So that was...
Whatever grade I taught, I liked the kids a lot.
Were you ever principal?
No.
Superior?
Yes.
And was that a 6-year term?
I don't think so. Could have been like 2, and another time it was 5.
Mm-hmm. Who was the major superior, or the Mother General, or the prioress of the congregation?
Mother Austin was in charge when I first entered, and then Mother Frances was in for a number of years.
And you were a superior. Was that in the state of Washington?
No. 2 times it was in California, at Assumption Convent in San Leandro, and in Hayward at St. Clement's.
Did you ever live with Sister Jean Dorsey?
Yes, I did. I was her superior for a while.
She was an accomplished artist.
And author.
Author.
She wrote 19 books.
And illustrated them, I presume.
Some she did, some she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain St. Albert the Great or something like that. She'd have silhouettes in those.
Beautiful.
She asked me to do her a favor one time. I told you yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I can't hear on the phone, but would you call this number, please? It was Helen Hayes. She was doing a ghost article for Helen. She had to ask a few questions, so she...
Helen Hayes of Broadway and movie fame, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
My. So they were pals.
Yes. They had worked together for a while in Mexico at an orphanage there. I think Helen probably donated money or something.
Was she a Catholic? I forget.
She was a Catholic, but she had drifted from the church, but she came back. And that was what the ghost article was about, her conversion and the reasons why.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe it, listening to Helen Hayes' voice on the phone. What?
It was a beautiful voice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Did you ever meet her in person then?
No.
No. No.
She was mainly in New York.
Is there some place in California where you spent more than 5 or 10 years?
Yes, in San Leandro, not at St. Bartholomew's there. I was there 23 years.
Oh my. So you knew the parents and you knew the
Kids. I
you
did
had the
marriage
parents.
prep and that kind of stuff.
Oh.
I went from there to Henderson for 2 years and then back to here, Adrian.
When you were in Henderson, had we merged yet? The Edmonds and the Adrians?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What was the merge like for you?
Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't seem any different. We had a lot of the same roots.
Mm-hmm.
Ratisbon, New York, coming from the cloister.
Mm-hmm.
You came here to a Catholic state. Washington really is still not Catholic.
But there's something that drew the people out west. Could be the settlers your sisters. They must have come from Fruy also, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Their roots.
Our roots aren't the same if we're not for there. Our roots are the same.
Mm-hmm. How did the merge begin? Who was Michelle the prioress at the time?
Yes.
Michelle Kopp?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we sent out a letter that we were interested in merging, and by 3 days later we heard from 17 Dominican communities that they'd be interested in talking to us.
Oh my.
So the sisters went around and spoke to those different people. And then that was like the end of their term. So they wrote to Rome and got an extension for 4 months, for 6 months, so they could finish the negotiating, rather than a new 4 people coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice.
It would have been so easy to merge with the Tacoma or this Washington Dominicans or the San Jose Dominicans. But you all came to the Midwest in the merge, like yourself and Mary White and.
What about it?
Well, I'm just saying the community that you chose was in the Midwest. That was a big change from the West.
From California and
Yes.
Washington?
Yes, yes.
First time I saw snow.
Not the last time.
I was here that worst winter they had in 35 years.
Oh my.
I loved it. I thought it looked so pretty, but I was thanking God I didn't have to drive in it.
Well, wasn't Seattle known for the area known for rain?
Yes, lots of rain. But other places in Washington had lots more rain. One city called Hoquiam had the second highest rainfall next to the rainforest.
How many days did it rain?
40 days, 40 straight, the heaviest rain you've ever seen.
Oh my.
Second next to the rainforest.
How did that affect the individuals? That must have been difficult to have dark days.
I think they get used to it, but on that particular rainy session in Seattle, it rained so much, there were 17 suicides.
Oh my. That is phenomenal. Is the rain still a problem in Seattle these days?
I think for the rest of our life it'll rain in Seattle.
Mm-hmm. How many sisters that belong to the Edmonds community are living today?
Probably about 35.
Mm-hmm.
When we merged, we were about 65.
Mm-hmm. And one of your good friends was here at Maria, correct?
Who?
Sister Barbara.
Oh, Barbara Matson was one of my best friends.
Yes. Were you here when she passed away?
No.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw her at a meeting just shortly before that.
She was a happy soul.
She was great. She was our treasurer and our mother general.
Oh. very key in the merge. I think she began the conversation, didn't she, with the Adrian Dominicans?
I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Marion, who in your life has inspired you through the years?
My mother and father.
Oh, yeah, you can't beat that, can you?
No.
I heard somewhere along the line that you either met or heard the story of Sebastian Temple. Can you tell us that story?
Sebastian was a great friend of mine, and he was giving a yoga session in Seattle at the seminary in different places, and I met him there. And I told him how everybody loves the hymn to St. Francis. And he said, I didn't write it. And he said he was working on that song for 3 hours and couldn't get anywhere. So he got up and got a cup of tea, and when he went into the kitchen, he said, Francis, if you want this, write it yourself. And he got his tea, came back, and in 10 minutes he had the song written. He says Francis wrote it.
Oh, let there be peace on earth.
Pardon?
Let there be peace on earth, correct?
Yes, yes.
And let it begin with me.
Right. It's a beautiful song. And he said one time he was in the Sisi, and they were singing it, and he was at the back of the church, and he said he just cried and cried.
Oh, wow. Have you ever been to Assisi?
Yes.
And other places in Italy, I presume?
Yeah, in Assisi, they have this big church, and then there's a small church, like a chapel. And I thought, what is that little house in there? But it was a chapel, and there was a crucifix here at the side. And this crucifix spoke to Francis and said, build my church.
Wow, and he did.
I think they call it the Portiuncula,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like a little chapel. But inside the church, it seemed strange. But once you knew what it was so beautiful.
What other places in Italy inspired you?
Well, Rome, certainly.
Mm.
Lourdes.
Did you get to Siena?
Yes, Siena was my favorite place. The church in Siena was just gorgeous. And Catherine's house was just up the street.
And Catherine's head is in the church there, the Basilica in Siena.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. I remember them telling the story, and the choir loft in that basilica is where Catherine used to go to pray. It's a beautiful basilica, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other places you were able to travel to other than Italy?
I was in Peru, Rose de Lima's house, at the church where Martin de Porres served the food.
Two of our wonderful Dominican saints.
Uh-huh.
Did they have...
Rose de Lima was the first woman canonized in the New World.
That I had forgotten, yes. And Ireland?
Yes.
Well, you have Irish roots, so that must have been... Or is it Scottish, McLaughlin, because it's spelled with an O?
No, OLoughlin were the kings in County Clare in Ireland.
Oh. Well, that's a good heritage.
Royal blood. Tut, tut, tut.
And let's not forget it. So if you were to gather 3 or 4 people around the table to have a conversation today, with whom would you want to be speaking?
Mary White, for one.
Who's here on campus?
Yes.
Mary White. Mm-hmm.
Michelle Kopp.
Oh, yes.
She was sick recently, but she's doing fine.
I'm happy to hear that. And a third one might be your mother?
Oh, yeah, that would be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Or my sister Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
She died about a year ago, June, and we used to talk a couple of times a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'd tell her crazy jokes. She just loved it.
You were like your brother Charles in and telling
Yeah,
jokes,
yeah.
right?
But no, he knew thousands. I only knew about 5.
And you keep telling the same 5.
Yes, if the person's lucky. Some people I don't share the jokes with.
Well, before we end, I'd really like to know what your life is like at Maria in the DLC.
It's ordinary. You sleep, you eat, you go to church, attend office, try to bug your friends. That should be it.
Do they bug you?
No, nobody talks to me.
No?
But everybody knows my name. I go down the hall, everybody says, hello, Marion.
Oh, that's
Good morning,
nice.
Marion. I don't know any of their names.
Well, it's helpful when they have their name tag on, isn't it? You
I
see,
can't see it,
oh,
so it doesn't help me.
that's your challenge today. Is that medical challenge? Are your eyes?
Macular degeneration in both eyes.
Did that start before you came to Maria?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
in Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
I had it in one eye, and then when I got here and they did my eye exam, he said I had it in both eyes.
Do you listen to the book recordings?
No.
No.
I used to love to read, though. And at night, they'd turn out the lights, and I'd have a flashlight under the blanket and read my book.
Well, maybe would you like someone to read to you?
No,
No, not at this stage, right?
no.
Yes. Well, God bless you. And anything you'd like to say to your sisters in Seattle, Washington, before we...
I love you all.
Oh. And they'd probably say right back at you, Marion.
I'm sure they would.
Yes. Well, God bless you, and thank you for your time today in our wonderful interview.
It was nice to